Taylor Swift has easily been dominating not only the charts, but really hacking the music industry to her benefit. It'd be quite an understatement to say that it would suck to not own your masters, which is the position that the majority of artists are in. And it's easy to acknowledge why some artists stand up and try to get their masters back. But before we dive into Taylor Swift a little bit, let's just get a bit of a handle of master recordings for those that may be unfamiliar. Master recording is known as the original recording, which can then be copied and multiplied as many times as one likes. This mattered a lot more back in the day because there was hardware involved. The master recording would be the first disc, record, etc. So when customers and fans download, buy, or stream the track, the person who holds rights to the master's track gets paid. And when this person and the author of the track are two different people, that's when it gets a little bit more complicated, which is the majority of times. When the artists are signed to a label, the label has rights to their recordings and provides artists with some money to record and release the album, then gather royalties after the release is a success. Sometimes though, those deals can be unfortunate for artists or even hurt them. This is the case of Taylor Swift, who really benefited on all fronts, but she took battle with Scooter Braun for a while. In any situation or conflict, it's essential to get to the root of all evil, for lack of a better word, so it's easy to follow how things are progressing. With Taylor Swift, everything started when she was 15 years old, and just starting her musical path of 13 years long with Scott Borchetta, who owned the Big Machine label. As a result of the deal, the label got the rights to all of the masters of the future 6 albums, and Taylor got money in advance. Starting from 2006 and up to 2017, Taylor Swift released 6 immensely popular and profitable albums, such as Taylor Swift's self-titled, Fearless in 2008, Speak Now in 2010, Red in 2012, 1989, 2014, and Reputation 2017. Despite the fact that Taylor did not have the rights to the masters, she still had publishing rights to the music material of said albums because she was author of all the songs. When the contract was near its expiration date, Taylor Swift and a team of very dedicated attorneys reached out to the Big Machine label and proposed that Taylor Swift would be allowed to purchase her albums back. But the label wasn't too happy about this and said the only way they would do so was if Taylor would renew the contract with them. What's more is that the label added that for each and every new album that Taylor would have released under this new contract, they would let her purchase one of the previous ones. It's clear that neither of the parties agreed on this, and this is, while some could say it's business, it's kind of shady, to say the least. For years, I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my artwork. Instead, I was given an opportunity to sign back up to Big Machine Records and earn one album back at a time. One for every new one I turned in. I walked away because I knew once I signed that contract, Scott Borchetta would sell the label, thereby selling me and my future. I had to make the excruciating choice to leave behind my past, music I wrote on my bedroom floor, and videos I dreamed up and paid for from the money I earned playing in bars, then clubs, then arenas, then stadiums. So when the contract with Big Machine label was finally over in 2018, Taylor Swift signed a new one with Republic Records with one fundamental distinction. She specifically negotiated that she would be the sole owner of the masters and publishing rights. It started with her new album Lover, which was released in 2019. Now we're all aware of who Taylor Swift is. Before getting to matters of the feud, the big one between Taylor and Scooter Braun, we gotta introduce Scooter. Scooter Braun's a very successful talent manager, media proprietor, and businessman that's not only known for his battle with Taylor Swift over the catalog, but as being manager of Kanye West, Demi Lovato, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, at one point the Kid Laroi, all through his company SB Projects. So the essence of the conflict and further battle between Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun is that Scooter's company, Ithaca Holdings, purchased the Big Machine label for $330 million. It included all aspects of the business of Big Machine, including the Taylor Swift catalog. When Taylor got the news, she wrote a very overwhelming and heart-touching post on her Tumblr page. Some fun facts about today's news. I learned about Scooter Braun's purchase of my masters as it was announced to the world. All I could think about was the incessant, manipulative bullying I've received at his hands for years. Like when Kim Kardashian orchestrated an illegally recorded snippet of a phone call to be leaked, and then Scooter got his 2 clients together to bully me online about it. or when his client, Kanye West, organized a revenge music video which strips my body naked. Now Scooter has stripped me of my life's work, and that I wasn't given an opportunity to buy. Essentially, my musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who tried to dismantle it. This is my worst case scenario. This is what happens when you sign a deal at 15 to someone for whom the term loyalty is clearly just a contractual concept. And when that man says music has value, he means its value is beholden to men who had no part in creating it. When I left my masters in Scott's hands, I made peace with the fact that eventually he would sell them. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine the buyer would be Scooter. Anytime Scott Borchetta has heard the words Scooter Braun escape my lips, it was when I was either crying or trying not to. He knew what he was doing. They both did. Controlling a woman who didn't want to be associated with them. In perpetuity. That means forever. It's pretty clear that after such an expression of one's feelings, there were a lot of waves on the internet in support of each side of the conflict. We won't get into too much detail here, just state that some points were fair and Taylor Swift decided to exaggerate some things to get people on her side. Soon after, Scooter Braun sold the masters of Taylor Swift's 6 albums to the private equity company Shamrock Holdings for $300 million. That again made waves around the internet. Taylor Swift felt the need to clear some air around that and stated that her legal team tried unsuccessfully to purchase the albums back. The interesting thing about that deal with Shamrock that Scooter had made is that he would continue to earn from every sale of those 6 albums. This was the second time my music had been sold without my knowledge. The letter told me that they wanted to reach out before the sale to let me know, but that Scooter had required that they make no contact with me or my team or the deal would be off. Scooter's participation is a non-starter for me. Consequently, Scooter Braun had something to say about the situation as well. The regrets I have there is that I made the assumption that everyone, once the deal was done, was going to have a conversation with me, see my intent, see my character and say, great, let's be in business together. I made that assumption with people that I didn't know. I didn't appreciate how that all went down. I thought it was unfair, but I also understand. From the other side, they probably felt it was unfair too. I choose to look at it as a learning lesson, a growing lesson, and I wish everyone involved well. I'm rooting for everyone to win because I don't believe in rooting for people to lose. This is a collection of music written in the middle of the night, a journey through terrors and sweet dreams, the floors we place and the demons we face. For all of us who have tossed and turned and decided to keep the lanterns lit and go searching, hoping that just maybe, when the clock strikes 12, we'll meet ourselves. That's what you can read on Taylor Swift's Twitter page about her new chart-topping and record-breaking album that released the 21st of October, 2022, and sold 1.1 million copies first week just in the United States alone, shattering records, nearly doubling Drake's sales of his massively popular and hyped album Certified Lover Boy. As a complete album, Midnight tells you the story of a more mature Taylor that's been through some serious issues and more of a reflection upon everything she's been through. As an example, in the song Antihero, you can tell a lot about the different demons that Taylor says she's facing as she writes pretty much all of her music. At this point, we have a general idea of why Taylor Swift is re-recording her masters. But let's remind you again of the fact that she doesn't own the original ones. So in order to get the rights for the albums and the music that she made, she's faced with only one possible course of action left: to re-record all the albums that were in her catalog. So when Taylor's done re-recording her albums, she can do whatever she wants with the masters of the new albums that are just a re-recorded version of the old ones. For example, allow any interested party to use her songs as a soundtrack to a movie or TV series, use it in ads, etc. In the interview that took place in 2019, she mentioned, "Every week we get a dozen sync requests to use Shake It Off in some advertisement or Blank Space in some movie trailer, and we say no to every single one of them. And the reason I'm re-recording my music next year is because I do want my music to live on. I do want it to be in movies. I do want it to be in commercials. But I only want that if I own it." Some may have certain doubts about whether Taylor can or can she not re-record her albums, but the answer was yes, she could. As Taylor is the one and only person who writes her songs, so she had publishing rights to all of her songs. This was beneficial in the case of not owning the masters because she could just make the covers. But there's a bit of a twist. Taylor can re-record her albums with some changes in the musical arrangement because the label that she previously was signed to prohibits her from re-recording the tracks in the same way that albums are generally recorded. At this point, Taylor has re-recorded only 2 of 6 albums, those being Fearless and Red. This is no indication of which album will be the next one in line, since Fearless was her second and Red was her 4th, not even her 3rd, so it's a little bit out of order. It's unclear why Taylor Swift decided to start re-recording from Fearless rather than Self-Titled, which was her first album, but still, she released Fearless, Taylor's version, on the 9th of April 2021. 3 songs from this album immediately scored high positions in the top 10 charts, such as Love Story, You All Over Me, and Mr. Perfectly Fine. The re-recorded album was praised highly by critics and topped the charts in damn near every part of the globe. In the USA, Fearless, Taylor's version, broke records and took up first place on the Billboard 200 charts, holding that position for 2 weeks in a row. So let's get this straight. She dropped an album that she had already released once again in 2021, and it went number 1 for 2 weeks straight. The brand new album consisted of 26 tracks, including those from Platinum Edition, Today Was a Fairy Tale, and 6 extra tracks that were not included in the original album she was re-recording from. The new Fearless was the most anticipated album of 2021. Taylor's Love Story reached number 1 on the Hot Country Songs chart, and in fact was her dominant high position on the chart since her track We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, which she released in 2012. What's more is that with the immense success, Taylor scored so high that she reached just one step back in history from Dolly Parton's I'll Always Love You, having original and re-recorded versions of the song. From the moment the new album was released, it got tons of streams on Spotify, over 50 million streams worldwide in one day. The tracks from the new Fearless got places on all positions in Apple Music's country song charts, and the album gained 1 million units in 1 week from the release date. In the last days of 2021, Taylor Swift got to be the most streamed woman on Spotify. But just a month before the end of 2021, Taylor Swift would release Red, Taylor's version, the next album that she re-recorded, and it was released on the 12th of November, 2021. The album consisted of 30 tracks, 20 tracks from the original Red, Ronin, All Too Well, Better Man, Babe, and 6 tracks from The Vault. It was praised by critics for being a vibrant mix of classic pop with country core and added elements of electronic and rock, as well as the previous recorded album, Red, broke records that included the biggest sales on vinyl and largest number of streams on Spotify. I believe it sold around 120,000 vinyls in the first week. The album continued topping the charts, topping number 1 at Billboard 200 charts, being the 4th album that reached that top position, and in 5 days' time from the release of Red, Taylor's version, the album sold over 500,000 copies first week, which was one of the biggest sales weeks of 2021. And keep in mind, this is an album that's already been released well over a decade ago. With this album, Taylor gathered a lot of praise from the music industry, and the album was placed in the top positions of many different charts, as well as best albums charts for Metacritic, all these other websites as well. Swifties, as they call themselves, are fans who support and observe anything that's happening in the life and career of Taylor Swift. Fans and Taylor made a beautiful and successful combination that's responsible for her songs, albums, and re-recorded albums skyrocketing in the charts around the globe, and her popularity continuing to rise while she gets to own her music now. When Taylor was battling with Scooter Braun, her fans started a petition named Let Taylor Swift Perform/use her art, as well as writing a large number of messages expressing solidarity with Taylor and expressing their support in any way they could. It meant a lot for her, as we can imagine. In addition, we should mention a very clever marketing thing that somebody took to the next level, encouraging fans to start their collections by making a clock face on a few album covers. When being together, you get not only vinyl to listen to, but a very stylish clock made out of different vinyl albums, which led to people buying more and more copies. As a way to say thank you, Taylor had helped a few of her fans who were struggling during the outbreak by gifting thousands of dollars to help them out and solve their issues, because she said fans were there when she needed it most. And she's probably the artist, I would have to say, has the most diehard fan base of any artist I can imagine. She just had an issue with Ticketmaster, Well, her fans had an issue when she was announcing her newest stadium tour, and they crashed immediately because everything sold out. Taylor Swift said, "You encouraged me, and so I found that the more music I made and the more music that I put out, the happier I was. The more I kept that channel open and just kept creating, kept making things. And the more that happened, the more you guys were like, yay, keep doing it. And the happier I was. So I have the fans to thank, essentially for my happiness. And I love you more than I can say." Taylor Swift is now with Republic Records in a deal that she pretty much got to write out, slowly gaining all her music back through re-recording them. They're selling more than ever, and the new versions people are deciding to listen to as well because her fans support her that much, and she's really the only artist we've ever seen pull something like this off.